Hello, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another podcast. Today, we are talking about burnout. Does burnout exist? What is burnout? Have you experienced it? And does it actually exist? You'll find out three reasons po- why I believe burnout doesn't actually exist. I'm Dr. Halim Spinati. I'm a dentist. I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist. I am a dentist. I work in London, Ontario, and I work out of my own practice, Binati Dentistry. I focus primarily on cosmetic dentistry, but we also do family dentistry as well. But the topic, burnout. What is burnout? And does it actually exist? Now, with regards to burnout, there are reasons why I believe that burnout does not exist. Burnout, what is burnout? Burnout is the feeling that you get when you just want to be curled up on the couch and just do absolutely nothing. When you feel completely disconnected from the world, when you feel like there is no energy whatsoever that is left in you, where you have zero interest in anything. You just want to do absolutely nothing. And that is what people describe as burnout. Now, there are reasons why, there are three reasons why I believe burnout doesn't actually exist. And the reason why I believe burnout doesn't actually exist are three. The first of which is that the brain works on a very complicated neuronal network. Okay, so it's a physiological effect, physiological mechanism. And burnout, as I'll state later on, is a psychological effect. It is not physiological. And I'll prove that in a second. Now, the brain works in a very, very nice way, and it works via connections. Okay, so a lot of neurotransmitters causing all these electrical signals, and somehow, some way, your brain works and allows you to speak, allows you to listen, allows you to see, allows you to react and think and analyze, and tells you signals and allows you to have intuition. That's a beautiful thing. So, in order for us to understand the brain, we have to actually examine how the brain actually functions. And the brain functions via a physiological mechanism. So that's the first reason why I believe that burnout doesn't actually exist, is because the brain itself is physiological, whereas burnout is psychological. It's a psychological concept. The second reason why I believe burnout is doesn't exist is because burnout it's something that we come up with in our minds. And I think of it in terms of, we talked about burnout being someone that has no energy, right? So you're on the couch and you just want to be cuddled up with a blanket, turn on Netflix, and just forget about the world. Okay. You don't feel like doing anything. You don't feel like talking to anybody because you're burnt out. Now, imagine that you are sitting there feeling sorry for yourself, feeling low, down, and then someone comes up to you, oh, and you're completely disassociated with the world because you hate everything. Okay? You're burnt out. You have no energy. Someone comes up to you and says, hey, buddy, you just won $1 million. How would you react? Would you just stay on the couch and kind of just look at the person and say, oh, so nice. I won $1 million. I don't care. No, you are all of a sudden going to have this energy out of nowhere, and you're going to jump and you're going to celebrate. And all of a sudden, now this burnout concept is out the window. You don't feel burnt out anymore, do you? Here's another example, and I consider this the winner versus loser effect. Now, when you're watching a game, let's say you're watching a soccer game, okay, or whatever game you want to watch, and you see the two teams and they're battling at it, they're going at it, and they're hustling, they're sweating, lactic acid buildup. It's a mess. And they just want to stop. They don't have any energy anymore. But one of them is going to win. And so then the one team does win. And the team that wins, all of a sudden, even though they're exhausted, they start running around the field, don't they? They start screaming and taking off their shirts, and everyone's piling on top. And then you look at the losing team. And the losing team looks exhausted, looks like they're completely dissociated from the world. They hate everything. They're so disappointed. They feel burnt out. So that's why I really believe burnout doesn't exist, because burnout is a concept of the way that you look at things. So because the people who won, they won. Now their perception has given them that energy, that their efforts have yielded a great result. Whereas the people that lost, their perception is, we worked really hard, yet it didn't work. Therefore, I am burnt out. I'll give you a really great example. Michael Jordan. I really look up to this man. So, Michael Jordan, if you're looking at this, I love you, man. I hope one day I can shake your hand. Anyway, besides the point, Michael Jordan, when he lost against the Orlando Magic when he came back from retirement and he lost, he stood there, he was disappointed. But someone else in his shoes would have been like, man, I'm just going to take, a month off, going to go and relax and then get my brain back in gear. His trainer, Tim Grover, came to him and he said, let me know when you're ready to start training. And then Michael Jordan literally just lost the game, just lost the actual playoff game. He turns to Tim Grover and says, I'll see you tomorrow morning. This is a man who was literally just lost. So he doesn't believe in burnout, because a winner cannot believe in burnout. And the reason why a winner can't believe in burnout is because it gives you an incredible competitive advantage when you do not believe that you can be stopped by your disappointments. Now, the third reason why I believe that burnout is not really a thing. It's really just made up. It's really something that is just kind of society has just thrown on us. Is because I believe burnout is a habit. And what I mean by that is, when you go to work and all of a sudden at work, things are, you feel really stressed and you feel like, things just keep piling on and you feel like you can never get caught up with your work, and you're dragging your feet to work and you just don't feel like going to work. And then you explain that as burnout, when in reality, it's actually two things. One is that you haven't found a good enough why in order for you to do that thing at work. There's not a big enough why for you. And so then, because you don't have a big enough why, you cannot storm the how. You cannot storm you actually doing work, because you don't have that why. There isn't that, what we call passion. And that's what we refer to as passion, the why. The other aspect is you haven't been trained well enough, right? So if you're doing a task and you haven't been trained well enough, well, I mean, you're going to keep failing and failing at it. You're going to feel incompetent, but you're going to put a lot of energy into it. And so therefore, because you're not gaining the results according to the energy that you're putting in, therefore, you know, you feel burnt out because you feel like you've lost hope. And so that's why I truly believe that if you have a perception of someone who believes that as long as you have good health, then you have hope. And as long as you have hope, then you have everything in life. Then you can literally never experience burnout. Does that mean that you can never be tired? No, it doesn't mean you can never be tired. You can be tired, of course, but being tired is different than being burnt out. Being tired is different than not wanting to do anything, not, just want to completely dissociate yourself, just complete lack of energy, lack of, inconsistency, and so on and so forth. It just kind of snowballs. It's a snowball effect that really just doesn't stop. As soon as you believe yourself that you have kind of burnout, and I've heard this from, different videos and different people where they say that burnout can last, months to years. And I'm like, no, don't believe that. What you have to believe is that you're strong enough in order for you to deal with whatever it is you need to deal with. And if you have that mechanism in you, then you have that competitive advantage to outwork and outperform the person who is next to you. So what's the takeaway here of burnout? The takeaway here of burnout is that you will have a complete advantage, a complete competitive advantage, if you believe that burnout does not exist. And the reason why burnout doesn't exist is because the brain works in a physiological environment, not a psychological one. So the brain still fires, even though you believe that you have burnout, the brain still fires. And two is that energy is produced by winners. and by the perception of winners and by having a strong enough why. That is the takeaway of why burnout does not exist. Have yourself a wonderful night.